someone will go around with a kapala with a bit of wine in it, which is part of the consecration, and will go around giving you each a little bit in your hand, and you just prick it from your hand and that's it. And the same will go for a tiny little piece of meat, which is supposed to be part of the offering feast, okay, at that moment. At that moment, someone, I think we will arrange that at the spot who will be doing that, will also prepare a little plate of tsok and offer that to Lama. And from that moment onwards, basically we can form, say, two queues of people. One will be for those going towards the tsok table, and there'll be a couple of people helping, serving you the tsok.
So that you receive it rather than take it. Exactly. Subtle difference.
Yeah. And the other queue will be to come towards Lama with your kapa and your envelope with your donation. And special request is, most of us will probably just want to offer that and a Greek Lama, and that's it. If that is your case, please come to the front of the queue. If you really need to have a few words with Lama and are going to take a little bit longer than most other people, please stand at the back of the queue, so that those who might be in need of going home because I have babysitters that need to leave or whatever don't need to wait for that. Okay? That's it. And then, you can choose which order. So if you think, well, I better go to the back of the queue for Lama, you might want to go and have your tsok first, and otherwise go to the former part of the queue, and then as soon as you've greeted Lama, you can head towards the top, and then you can stick around to enjoy the talk, all of us together. Okay, thank you very much.
I think you touched on everything. Those of you who are going to decide that you want sponsors during the tsok can come over and talk to Karen, who has people to show you, and you can see if you want any of them. Juku kundu songo gombo yin, dorje sempa garab dorje dang, shere singe bardu shin labde, de ramabzan tata tusum chi, Dzogchen jupe lama la solo deb, ergim pema junila solo deb. Dorje chang tu tilo narodang, marpa mila gombo tsatapa, na pupadang palden drupa suk, kargyu lama namla solo deb. Ochen lama namla solo deb, druchen lama namla solo deb, kagin warin lama namla solo deb, shakya lama namla solo deb, nyendu dang yundran lama namla solo deb. Falcondu dang irme pa, gun garab dorje jin tragpa, jetidang nisume pa, palamanam chetente chung. Chukulonku chukula chapsuchio. I take refuge in the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. When you see the Dharmata, which is the combination of those three as one, when you see that, you see your own true nature, who you really are, who we all, every last one of us, including the bugs and the birds, had to sneeze about to happen too. Pollen. It's springtime. and the bees and the birds and everything else around you. Buddha nature is unlimited. Guru Yoga, when one takes refuge in all teachers of the 3 times, past, present, and future, one in doing that recognizes that all Buddhas arise out of all sentient beings, and that since Buddha nature is inherent in every one of us, including the birds and the bugs, you cannot separate Guru Yoga from Bodhicitta. To take one Buddha as your enemy and another Buddha as your friend, and look after your friend and reject and harm your enemy, when both are of the nature of lineage, kuntu zangpo, kuntu zangmo, Buddha nature, would be a serious misunderstanding. I saw a vase of flowers levitate. To recognize your own true nature and to recognize its inseparability from the lineage and from Bodhicitta is the first vital point. The second point being very simple. At all times and on all occasions, acknowledge, notice the already glimpsed Buddha nature of mind, Dharmakaya nature of mind, Tawa, your own mind. Not your little mind, which is your personality, all the stuff you make up and pretend you are, all the stuff you make up and pretend you aren't, except you're slightly afraid you might be. You know that stuff. No. Where that occurs, the very awareness itself. Rigpa, the seer, the one who looks out from behind your own eyes, stripped of the moment of what it's looking at, stripped of the moment of who it is becoming in response to what it's looking at. Naked, awake, aware, utter simplicity. Look into your own eyes. See who you are. See what you are. It's not your thoughts, who you think you are. It's not your feelings, who you hope to be, who you fear you might become. It's not your sensory perceptions, for those are constantly changing, come and go. It is the perceiver, feeler, thinker of all of that, without the obscuration of thinking all of that is solid. Following the teaching of the body, align your channels. Following the teaching of the speech, stop trying to explain everything to yourself. Shut up. Following the teaching of the mind. Mind looking. Open your pointed, focused, obsessive, compulsive attention which has been from beginningless time paying attention to thises and that's and the other things, here and there, this and that, but only this, only that, and then the other, jumping around in a pointed focus. Let go. Let it open, let it relax. Relax your eyeballs, relax your focus of attention. Let the arisings of thought, feelings, and physical sensations slide by unhindered, without rejecting or grasping a single one of them. Leave them be as they are. You don't need to fix them or improve them. You don't need to acquire a blank state or reject a complicated set of sensations, feelings, and thoughts. Look through those at the infinite, open, empty, sky-like ground of mind in which they arise and in which they vanish. Through. By allowing, in relaxation, your thoughts, your emotional feelings, and your physical sensations to slip easily and naturally through the infinite spaciousness of mind as easily as a cloud slips through the sky, as easily as the wind blows through the sky. For your thoughts are not made of rocks, of matter. They are not made of any thingness, as neither are your emotions. You can talk about thoughts, and you can talk about feelings to another, but you cannot grasp one and hand it to someone. No solidity to them. And perception's the same. We never know if what we see as green is the same thing another sees as green. Perhaps they see it as red, but have learned to call it green because everyone points and says green. You cannot grasp a perception either, since they are unsolid, insolid, ungraspable, continuously flowing past like the flow of a river. You cannot pick up a piece of a river either, nor can you stop its flow effectively. Oh, for a few minutes you can dam it up, but the dam will come apart eventually. Even your great dikes that keep the sea back are not forever. We hope they last through the current climate crisis, but someday they will be gone and the sea will retake the land. All of these creations. Thoughts, feelings, and perceptions are created by mind. Do your thoughts not occur in your mind? Mind is defined as the thinker of thoughts, the feeler of feelings, the perceiver of sensations. All of these are transparent. As such, you can look right through them. Pick a thought, any thought. Let's think of a teapot. Where's the picture? That's your mind. The picture arises in your mind's eye, we say in English. I don't know what you say in Dutch for that. Anyone? How do you say your mind's eye, where you make visualizations?
Building. Yeah, which is like your own imagination. Yeah, imagination basically.
You don't have a word like your mind's eye.
We don't even have a word for mind.
Ah, well, that's going to make things interesting. What do you call the place you think, wherever your thoughts and feelings are happening?
Spirit, essentially.
Okay.
Ghost.
Ghost. Which sounds like something awfully solid, doesn't it?
Yeah. The word gas in English is a derivation of the Dutch word geest. It's there, but it's not.
There's no Dutch word for mind.
Well, there's no English word for what the Tibetans mean by sem either. So you're going to have to listen to the bell by looking where the finger points, even if the finger can't ring. Pick a thought. Let's take a big thought, a really big tree. Do you have big trees? What kind of trees grow here? Oak trees? Okay, big oak tree. You're standing right next to it. Can you visualize that in your imagination? Where's the picture? Find it. We will call that infinite, because you can even visualize the galaxy, the local group of galaxies, the universe. Keep making it bigger. There's no end to what you can visualize. As far as your imagination extends, your mind extends, including dragons and unicorns, because you can think them. You can write stories about them in your mind with your thoughts. All of that infinitude of creativity is simply the result of the awake lucidity of mind, of sem. And sem itself, sem often means personality mind. Sem ni, real mind, big mind. You cannot find a limit to it. You cannot find a center to it or an edge. And yet it is awake and aware. This is Tawa, this infinite, open, empty, lucid vitality that is you, your true nature, when you are not limiting yourself by constricting within a thought, feeling, sensation pattern. Momentarily, let go. Look through the completely transparent, infinitely open dance of phenomena and see the infinite awareness which dances without moving. Tawa. Now, whatever you're doing, notice the tawa inherent in what you are doing, inherent in your moment. Recognize it. When you're eating, when you're talking, when you're walking down the street, when you're getting up or sitting down in a seat. Notice the tawa in which all that doing flows by, which is so insubstantial that you cannot grasp it or constrict it. You cannot make it smaller. You cannot make it bigger, for it is beyond the concept of size. Even the space-time continuum in which we dance arises and vanishes in tawa. This is your mind. Look at it with your mind. Identify with it rather than looking at it through limiting glasses. Yar tawa. Yar the vitality that perceives, that dances throughout infinite time and space in open awareness. You always were, you always will be. There's nothing to get rid of. This is Dzogchen. But there is also suffering. The suffering of hope and fear. The suffering of when that which you fear grabs you. The parking ticket, the eviction notice, the, pink slip when you've lost your job. The suffering when that happens, when a loved one dies. The suffering of loss of what you are attached to, when your house burns down or is flooded, more likely here. When you lose your precious ring and cannot find it. The suffering of loss of what you love. The suffering of having to get up in the morning and go to a shit job because you got to pay your mortgage. Every morning. I don't wanna, but you do. That's suffering. Because you are grasping and rejecting rather than allowing the flow to smoothly occur as it does. So there's your carrot and your stick for why practice, even though there is no practice to be done. For as long as you experience preferences, you would rather eat than be hungry. You would rather have a sweater than be cold. For as long as that occurs, there is practice to be done. Because in the constant changing of the flow of what flows by, you'll like some bits and you won't like other bits. And so you'll be grabbing and shoving and causing yourself karma, which is the pattern of the flow. We don't all have the same experiences. You don't have my childhood. I don't have your childhood. Different. And so we form different personalities and we have different problems and experiences. When something happens, my personality will interpret it one way. Your personality may interpret it a different way. I might feel fear. You might feel curiosity. I might feel whee. You might feel fear. These are our karmic patterns. What things we grab. What things we shove away. Canned asparagus. Do you ever have seen that substance? So some people bring it towards them and like the taste of it. Some people do not. Root beer. Rinpoche hated root beer.
We don't have that in the Netherlands. We do.
You don't? Oh, well, it's just as well. That's an American thing. But surely, you have two kinds of little fish that you eat as a snack. Herring. But you have two kinds. I quite like one kind and cannot like the other kind, even though I've tried. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of the kind I like. It's harder, not as slippery, is the one I like. And I can't do the slippery one. But you may very much like that kind of herring. So you will grab for that when it goes by, and I will shove it when it goes by. So we will create different future karma. I'm going to be chased by that herring, because when you shove something away, you have the impression that it's in pursuit of you. If I chase something, it'll always seem to run away. Reality is like cats. Creating the karma for the experience, and for as long as you're grabbing and shoving, because you got preferences, you're going to be making karma for things to come towards you and things to appear to go away from you. And you'll be trying to affect what's going by, what's occurring in the moment. After the fact, of course, because you don't know what's going to occur in the next moment. So you're going to be trying to fix the past moment, but it's already gone. And your fix won't work. It's like it was cold yesterday, so you carry a sweater today. Or it was really sunny yesterday, so you don't bring your umbrella today. Because we're always one off, and so it's bip, 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 bip. It doesn't have to be like that. You can shift it some. That doesn't mean you won't feel happiness and sadness. Anger and attachment, desire, aversion, and all of these things. They will be transparent. Third Wang, showing of a crystal, traditional. Showing something transparent in a country and a culture which didn't have glass in the windows. So you always travel with an example so people can see transparency. Old style. I'm teaching today new style. What does that mean? I am assuming you are all literate. Am I mistaken? I don't think so. Not in this culture. I believe you can all, to some extent, read and write or get books on tape. So I'm not reading you every word of the text as your only opportunity to hear it. I'm explaining the meaning to you. That's a Western style teaching. I'd never get away with this with a Tibetan. My Tibetan students know old style. So just so you know the difference. I have done the old style teaching, and it's online if you want to hear it. Can you get the top off for me? The second word of Garab Dorje, the second point. The first is to recognize your own true nature, find tawa, see tawa. See the infinite openness of mind itself. Its lack of specific location. Its lack of specific color or shape. Because color, shape, here, there, are thoughts that arise in mind and vanish in mind. They are not at all bigger than mind, able to encompass mind. Mind encompasses them. Piece of Western logic. So first is the point of the four wrongs. See your mind with your mind. Recognize that you are gazing into your own eyes, that it is you that sees you. That this is not something outside of you to be chased after. Neither is enlightenment. Simply wipe the smudge off the transparency, and it becomes obvious. What is the smudge? Grasping makes smudge. Grabbing. A belief system, a set of thoughts that you think are real. A reason that you think for your feelings are real. You're angry because you should be angry. Because they did this and this and this. Those are thoughts and feelings. You are grabbing them, making them real. And this is how we get ourselves into trouble our whole lives. Because the way we grab our thoughts and feelings are based on our childhood, our cultural matrix, and doesn't always work now. What worked when you were 3 to get attention, try it now. See how well it works for you. And yet people do. Don't they? Sometimes. This is the smudge. There are a variety of ways of removing smudge. You can use Tantra. Takes a while, but it'll do it. You can use direct meditation of seeing that all the smudge is transparent and looking through it. At which point, even if there's still some smudge left, it won't bother you none. That's Dzogchen. So instead of following in every minute, every time, the same set of thought patterns, the way you respond to that, I'm not good enough. How many people have that one? Common one, isn't it? So instead of going around saying that nasty mantra to yourself all the time, I'm an idiot, I'm an idiot, I'm an idiot, which we do. Every time we trip over something, forget the thing we need, right? I think I'm speaking to a common experience. Instead of casting a nasty spell on yourself with repetition of a mean mantra, next time you catch something like that happening, stop for a moment. Look through the refrain of thoughts. They're transparent anyway, that's not hard. You just need to practice it a bit. It's like riding a bicycle. No, you always didn't know how, but you learned and then it was easy. So's this. You practice and it gets easy. You just relax. Look through whatever is arising in mind, at mind, with mind. Just that. But you do it a lot. You do it while thinking. You do it while not thinking. You especially do it while feeling, but also while not feeling. You do it while perceiving pleasure. Yeah, try it in bed with your lover. Take that brief moment and glance. They probably won't even notice. They're probably into whatever you're doing for them at the moment, or they're doing for you at the moment. Take that moment. Look through the physical sensation at the feeler of it. The awareness itself, infinite and open. Next time you're in pain, you stub your toe. When you're done cursing and jumping around on one foot, when you get to the point that you can actually think again, remember to look. Look through the sensation at the feeler of the sensation in infinite open awareness. No, you probably can't do that in the first moment you hit your funny bone. But as it begins to fade, you'll come to a place where you can begin to practice that. When you're good at it, yes, you can do it in the first moment you hit your funny bone, elbow. That can hurt a lot. This will be useful since dying is somewhat uncomfortable for most people, because usually what you're dying of hurts. Yeah, when you have a car accident and you get squished, it hurts, and then you die. So you might as well develop this skill before you need it really badly. Look at mind with mind. Only this. Again and again and again, at all times and in all circumstances. In pleasure, in pain, in desire and in aversion, when you're afraid, when you're in lust, when you want to go shopping, when you want something in the shop window, when someone says something mean to you, or looks at you with what we call in English hairy eyeball. You've got some Dutch phrase that means that. At all times and on all occasions, recognize the already known Dharmakaya statement of mind. Did that instruction go in now? I said it a lot. You see, I can't do this for you. I would if I could. I can shout it at you. I can point it out to you. But I can't practice it for you, and one gets good at something by practicing it. I presume, being Dutch, that you can all ride bicycles. Do you remember learning? Remember falling off a lot? Thinking you'd never get the hang of it, like those people that went by real fast? And now? Just practice. 5 years. Let's see if I have that here. Somebody got a pen? Okay, I had to do this in English, not Dutch, because I don't really speak Dutch. I'm going to have you look at a piece of paper and not read the word. Don't read it, just look. Can you see it? Well, that's no good. That might work better. Make it darker. Let's try again. Look at it without reading it. Can you see it in the back? Can you look at it without reading it? No. How'd you get that way? Yeah, see, this won't work on Tibetans, this method.
Why not?
They're not that literate. Maybe this generation is now, but the old generation, not so much. It wasn't common in Tibet. It's why you have to read the text to people when you teach it. You can't figure they're just going to read it themselves, because some can't. What is important here is to realize that you got so you couldn't not read. In how many years? You think it took 10 years? I think it took about 5. Let's go from 1st grade to 6th grade. By the time you're in 6th grade, you can't look at a street sign and not read it. At least for most of us. Some of us took a little longer because we might have been dyslexic or had some other issues. But for most of us, we can read. If you have eyesight issues that you can't, as some of my students may be blind, they just get books on tape of the text. It's out there. And so instead, they listen. We have technology. The point I'm making, if I can remember what it was, is that you got this way in reading by practicing it for about 5 years. So if you will glance at Tawa in the same frequency that you read things from 1st grade to 5th grade, you will not be able to have a thought that fools you. Just as you can't look at a street sign and not read it. Although, to be quite honest, I can look at a Dutch sign and not read it. The words are too long. But not in my native language. I'm presuming you all cannot not read Dutch, because you grew up with it. You gotta practice with the same way you practiced reading. How many of you took refuge in books from the mean kids and the problems and being yelled at? Pretty common, isn't it? This is refuge. You take refuge in Tawa when things are difficult. You look. Instead of grabbing the nearest magazine while you wait for the dentist who's going to go zzz, which you don't like, and you're nervous, and you don't want to think about it. Instead of taking refuge in printed matter or your cell phone, try it. Take refuge in Tawa. This will get easier with time if you practice when you were still trying to figure out the Cat in the Hat. Do you have that here as a child's book?
Jip and Janneke is the traditional Dutch example.
So when you were still trying to parse that out, you probably thought, this is never going to be easy. I don't like doing this. And now, how much pleasure do you get from reading? Have I convinced you to actually do the practice?
Yes.
There's a reason it's called practice. Does anyone have with them about a number 50 reading glasses that they can spare me for a moment? It's the very light ones.
I have got one, that's the lighter kind.
Let me see. It's allergy season for me, which means my eyes are not being perfect, and I can't find my reading glasses. Oh, that's much nicer. As for the practice, experience will take place when everything adds up to it. No matter how long you keep practicing in the midst of busyness and entertaining distractions, you won't remember to do it enough. You won't gain experience. You need to simplify things a little bit. What this is referring to is the way we run around making busyness for ourselves. Even when we don't have to do something, we think of something to do. You ever catch yourself doing that? Occasionally, don't do that. Not all the time, don't do that. That's too sudden for y'all. Lean towards doing less. Gently. If you force yourself, you're just going to bounce off it. We've had that experience, haven't we? So gently lean towards less manic doing and more simple glancing. In this practice, although you sit on your cushion and you seek tawa, you find tawa, you spend a few hours a day. No, not in the beginning. You spend perhaps 20 minutes a day sitting with your channels in alignment where it's easy and relaxing your attention, learning to relax your attention, and something catches it and you run off after it and you come back and relax again. This 20 minutes is important. For some of you, it might only be 10 minutes. If anybody's got a kid under 5, you're lucky if you get 2 minutes. So depending on where you are in your life, how energetic and manic you are will depend on how many minutes you can sit still. But do take some minutes to sit still. But that's not enough. It won't work if you just do that. Then you start creating, okay, now I'm practicing Dharma, now I'm running around in my normal life. Now I'm practicing Dharma, now I'm running around in my normal life. That won't work either. What you want to do is merge it together. Yes, you make sessions. Sessions are sit-downs in Dharma. But you don't limit it to sessions. You look again and again while you do other things. Just glance. Quick glance. When practicing, there becomes no difference between meditation and post-meditation. That's sopa. You see that indescribable, ineffable Dharmakaya nature of mind. It doesn't go away when you get up off the cushion. You just look somewhere else. Except there is nowhere else and nothing else. Because everything arises in there and dissolves in there. So when you learn by practice to look through phenomena, there is nothing which comes and goes between on the cushion and off the cushion. It's not different. When that happens to you, and I'm looking at some of you who are in that experience by now, don't stop sitting on the cushion. Just because you cannot meditate in meditation doesn't mean you should cease meditating. Don't fall in that hole. Been there, done that. It hurts. If you stop practicing too soon, it wears off. Because what you thought you had was a come and go. You got it. It's gonna leave. Keep sitting. For as long as you would rather eat cheese than shit, keep sitting. Don't lie to yourself about that one either. Say, I'm a crazy yogi, I can eat shit from a Kapala. No, man, don't do that. Keep practicing. So even though for you there may be no difference between session and session break, keep breaking it into sessions. Don't stop. You don't need to search for a specific situation, however, to have a session, a mini session. Wherever you are in that very moment, stop for a minute. If you are running fast or talking, settle your chi. Makes it easier. Notice tawa. Since tawa is everything everywhere, there is nowhere that you can't notice it. You'll do that, okay? It works. You do not need to search for some special circumstance, for an object to meditate on, for shine, for stillness. You don't need to find that or grab that. Just see through the transparency of everything else and let it be. This is the real wisdom of the fourth empowerment, the special quality of the practice lineage, the unimpeded realization of all the accomplished lineage gurus of India and Tibet. Become certain by your own experience, not because I told you to. I could be talking through my hat. You don't know. You check it out yourself. However, if you're going to take to Dzogchen, you might want to not stop your mouth from watering and drooling after all the fancy practices that dweeble and go boom. The chanting, the beautiful sounds, I want to learn a new one and a new one. Have you got a collection of practices yet that you don't do? There's a point where you notice your bookcase is full. At some point, you got to choose one and go with it. And it might be tantric. It might not be this Dzogchen. And that's okay. They all work if you do them. And you will do the one you like. You will not do the one you don't like. Now, will you? That's why you have a collection of practices on a back shelf that you're not doing. Stop chasing mind-made things. Resolve to pursue nothing other than this if you wish to accomplish this. That means if you will be doing a sadhana of Tantra, while you're doing it, do notice its transparency and look at the nature of mind that is doing it while you do it. If you do a sadhana, you're only doing it for the build-up to the dissolution anyway. The exercise of focus and relaxation, if you're a Dzogchenpa. So do it, but do it in the context of Dzogchen. Take your piss in the context of Dzogchen. Eat your food in the context of Dzogchen. If you do this, checking again and again, gom, repeated glances throughout the day while doing many things, also called practice. No matter what happens, whether you feel an intense passion towards a desirable object or strong aggression towards an undesirable object, hope and fear. Favorable conditions happen in life, but unfavorable conditions and sickness happen too. Awareness is manifesting at that moment. It is the very awareness manifesting at that moment which is the basis of liberation. Mind looking. When the shit hits the fan, and on the happy days too. At this time, all your likes and dislikes, joys and sorrows. If you lack this key point of practice, which arises naturally from short moments, which allows there to be no separation between session and session break, this key point of practice, which is the certainty, the absolute experiential certainty that all thoughts arise in mind. There is no thought that is real than another. Y'all trying to find the real reality? Still? Nuh-uh. What did she really mean by that? Honey, you'll never know. She doesn't either. Instead of trying to figure out which thought is real, relax. See them as they are. If you lack the key point of practice, which is freed upon occurrence, then whatever arises in the undercurrent thoughts that you're not even noticing, it still makes karma and it's going to sweep you away. So you need to really recognize the nature of all your passing thoughts without exception, not some of them. There's something called the undermutter that you don't really listen to, except sometimes. But it still creates cause and effect. It still makes imprints. So you need to practice often enough that even that is transparent. Recognize the natural face of whatever thought takes place, while inseparably aware that you are the natural ongoing mindfulness, the thinker of the thought, the infinite open awareness, Don't force this, relax into it. This is freed upon occurrence, like drawing on water. There is no trace left in that state of recognition. If you do not allow your thoughts to unravel as self-freed, merely laying a thought on a thought, saying that thought wasn't real, that thought wasn't real, that thought wasn't real, that won't work. Because now you're believing the thought that says that that thought wasn't real, and you can go on forever like that and nothing happens. It's not diddly squat. You're just thinking at it. Don't. Won't work. Won't sever the flow of you being constricted and twisted into weird formations by delusive karma, by old imprints from infinite past lives, including your childhood, your culture last time. There's so many imprints in there. And they twist you like a stunted tree that grew in the wind on the edge of a cliff. When you relax, you spread out and bloom. You need to recognize the Dharmakaya nature in every thought that arises. As it arises, it is liberated. Your thoughts aren't real. There is no thing there. You need to notice this while you think them. Therefore, simple shine is not enough. Your shine has to mature into laktong, which is trekchö. You have to be able to meditate while thinking. It's not enough to just meditate while not thinking. That's the important key. That's in Mahamudra you get from Trultra Naljor, so keep working on it. In Dzogchen, that is in the first introduction. And then later on, people try to stabilize an aspect of phenomena, and we have to go back to separating. So don't think one is better than the other. They're just different paths. The arising and freeing of a thought are simultaneous. That's why we get the analogy of drawing on water. When you draw on water with your finger, yes, a mark is made on the water, but as the finger moves to make the mark, it's released in that same moment. There's no lasting duration of the mark as your finger is moving. Your thoughts don't have duration either. It's when you stick a row of them together into a full-on concept or story that those appear to have duration. But this is something learned in Shine when you work with the object. You notice that it jumps faster than you can imagine, but when you try to rest your thoughts on the object in the beginning, you notice that it's not the same thought all the time, even though it might be on the same topic all the time. That's one of the things that Shine teaches early on. Here we teach it all at once, and then you spend a while getting it to work. You don't have to make the thought be transparent. You don't have to do anything about the thought. There is unceasing, completely natural, self-occurring self-liberation. And in this way, thoughts are the expression of the Dharmakaya. No matter how intense the thoughts of the 5 poisons arise, negative feelings, To that same extent, the awareness of their being freed arises. So if you are a passionate, emotional person, we call you a big pile of wood. With that same clarity and sharpness, whatever occurs is fresh food for the empty awareness. This means that if you can notice tawa in intense situations, by training first in easy situations, the imprint of this noticing is more intense. So do not only try to look in easy situations, look in more difficult situations too. When all thoughts, whatever occurs, dawn as the natural expressions from the open state, without accepting or rejecting, then whatever thought is the expression of the Dharmakaya king. Since mental concepts, the deluded forms of ignorance, are purified in awareness of wisdom, the expanse of the Dharmakaya, whatever movement of thoughts occurs within that expanse of unceasing luminosity, is empty, is its natural face, traceless and naturally free. Alala. You do not have to fix it. It's always been that way. Relax on trying to get it, to get there, to acquire it. Relax. Let go. Leave it be, and it is. At this time, when you see this, thinking will dawn as meditation, and there will be no separation between thought and non-thought. Stillness and occurrence will intermingle. Thus, thought and occurrence will not be harmful to stillness. They will not end stillness. They do not bother stillness. Stillness is always there. Where else could it be? The sky is not blown about by the wind. The way thoughts occur is the same as before. But for ordinary people, there's a solid acceptance and rejection. That makes the karmic formations, grabbing and shoving. For a yogi, the thoughts are freed by themselves, and there is no need to grab or shove. In the beginning, thoughts are freed the moment they occur. At first, it's by looking at them and seeing their transparency, and you look right through them and see them for what they are. But that's just the beginning. Next, they free themselves. There's not even the act of looking. It just happens, recognized as they happen. In the end, with neither benefit nor harm, like a thief who breaks into a house that's been abandoned. Nothing to steal in there. People moved out already. Oops. Nothing to gain, nothing to lose. Being able to meditate and focus, but not to free thoughts while you think them, not to free feelings while you think them, not to recognize perceptions in their innate freedom while you think them. That's just going to land you in a God realm. Bliss state, nice and fun, vacation in Hawaii, 2 weeks, come home, laundry's still not done. It is not sufficient to recognize and separate stillness and thought to know the difference between sitting in stillness and sitting in thought. It is not the point to label things. This is Dharmakaya, this is infinite open awareness, this is confusion. Those are thoughts, guys. They're all the same. The thought of the Dharmakaya and the thought of a pickle are exactly the same. There is no difference. They're both made of the same, not anything. There are no real ones if you could just find the right one. So without this, without meditating while thinking, meditation can be a path of confusion. It is this ability to meditate and think simultaneously that is the key to the Dharmakaya. If you have this vital point, all your emotions will manifest as the Dharmakaya awakeness, playful creativity, without you needing to take them seriously. Coming and going, shit happens, and gone. If you don't have confidence, which is developed through GOM, in the way of freeing thoughts as they occur, no matter how high your philosophy or deep your trance states are, it's not liberation. It's just highfalutin philosophy and deep trance states. This self-occurring self-liberation lacking even an atom of fixation on a high view, or even a reference point of a deep samadhi. Nothing to grab or stand on. No one to grab it or stand on it. Infinite open awareness, utterly ordinary, always there, unfooled by the dance of phenomena, and yet dancing creatively, playfully, sparkling with phenomena, none of which has the least bit of thingness whatsoever. Sopa, the third word of Garab Dorje. The three vital points are unmistaken key points for the divisive practice of Tawa, Gompa, and Sopa, the great perfection within the unimpeded continuity of awareness, always, alwheres. Remember, now and then, time-space continuum here and there arise as concepts in mind, and like every other concept, no duration, no substance, dissolve as such. This treasure beyond knowing, beyond describing, this utter realization of ease and satisfaction, which is the culmination of all paths. It is the heart essence of the three lineages. I would regret to share it with those who did not want it. I would happily share it with those who do. It is the profound meaning and words from the heart. It is the words from the heart, the essential meaning. Don't let it fade away. Don't throw it in the gutter. You may not find it again. The way you retain a practice so that you can use it is to simply, for a moment every day, glance at tawa. More than a moment possible, take it. Anybody here got a kid under like 4, a toddler in the house? Because moms of toddlers don't, well, probably they are too busy to even be here today. They may be at home. So those of you out there who were too busy to actually get here today because you have a toddler in the house, you probably only will have a short moment. You don't even have privacy in the bathroom during those years. So grab a moment here and there, just to pause. Return your attention to tawa, the infinite openness of awareness, non-specific to one kind of thought or another. And allow whatever thoughts of happiness or sadness are drifting through to just go right on by like they do. Look through them. Mind looking. If you do this for a little bit every day, you will not forget how. That continuity will allow your practice to mature. Yes, you have to do it more than one moment once a day to mature it. But if this is a bad time for you, doing just that will keep you knowing how until you reach a time after the exams, once the baby is in school. Whatever time you feel in your life will give you the time to practice. Are there questions? Yes.
What is Buddhism?
I need you to repeat that.
Yes, my question is what is Buddhism?
Buddhism, right? Yeah. Buddhism as in the German word Buddhism.
What is Buddhism? Different things to different people. Some people take it as a religion because they want a religion. Some people who don't want a religion take it as a philosophy to follow of kindness to other living beings. Some people who are not particularly interested in philosophy or religion choose to take it as an instruction book for how to work the mind. You know, you got born here without a user's manual. That can be problematic at times. So some of us choose to take it as a user manual for the mind. It's up to you. It's different things to different people. If you would like it as a religion, there are many temples about that you can attend, and many teachers who are also liking it as a religion who are happy to teach it in that way. If you like it as a philosophy, there are many scholars around who are well trained in the ins and outs of Mañjuśrīmitra philosophy and would be happy to teach it to you in that way. If you want it as a user manual, go find a yogi. Because they're the ones that have been keeping, reteaching, and passing down the practice lineage, which is the user manual part. Other questions? Yes.
Thank you, La Malina. One question relates to the teaching that is when the text says that it's like the flow of a river. It refers to the noticing of tawa or to the rising and dissolving of every phenomenon, or both?
Both. The flow of the river is often compared to phenomena in other texts. Here in this text, where it talks about the flow of the river, it talks about the continuousness of tawa as phenomena flows by. It isn't that tawa flows by like a river, but the continuity. For example, when you see a river that has a ripple from a rock under the surface, the ripple appears to always be there. The ripple is always in the same place. But the molecule of water of which that ripple is made is always different. So the thought passing by is always different. But the tawa is always the same. It's an analogy. Tawa, the stillness, the infinite openness of awareness of mind. That which has always been, which is referred to as unborn, undying. That does not change, but it is also not static. Just as there will be in a flowing river certain ripples due to the configurations of the bank, but they're not always made of the same thought, feeling, perception. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
It becomes even like the flow of a river from Gom. The short moments that you're doing as a practice of Gom, they somehow stick together of their own accord without you forcing them. There's no way to make that happen before it happens, except by the frequency of your short moments. The experience when they do that is of flowing smoothly like a river where everything flows through transparency, but that is a nyam, an experience. It had a cause. It will have an end. So don't stop practicing.
Yes, another question is that you suggested that we land at tawa even during sleep. So I've been for many months now when I go to sleep being in trekchö, but then just I fall asleep, sleep well.
That's fine.
Wake up refreshed. So I didn't know if this means it's immature trekchö or
No. You're judging yourself. That's a thought. The judgment, the wondering if it is this or that means the trekchö's not mature. A thought tripped you. You tripped over it. So laugh at yourself and climb back on. That's all there is. No, nothing means anything, really. There is no stability to the moving or moving to the stillness, and they're the same thing. But how to get someone to see that themselves? What you are doing actually in dream yoga, the fact that you're getting a good sleep, your body needs that. For as long as you wear the meat, you must eat, sleep, and shit. No choice. Everything beyond that is just decoration. It's okay to decorate. Just don't think it's solid, real, or you can keep it. Does this answer your questions?
yes, I will sleep relaxed.
Sleep relaxed. Another question.
I have one that maybe there is no need to answer now. It's from my son, and it's not related to this, so maybe we can later. Is how would you define reincarnation?
Reincarnation?
Yeah.
Do you know those? You get your son a little toy that has these.
17.
Yes, this is a grown-up toy. It has a wooden thing and two ends, and then there's a series of balls hanging on strings. and you pick one ball up and let go, and then none of the middle ones move, but the end one goes out? You know that toy. Show him that, and that's my answer.
Thank you very much.
Cause and effect. Not continuity of a single thing through the balls. But nonetheless, the cause is of that ball, the effect is in this ball. There's your reincarnation answer. Someday I'm going to get myself one of those little things so I can just pull it out of my magic bag and show you. A small one that's portable.
We talk about grabbing and shoving away as a problem, but basically grabbing and shoving away is a survival mechanism for us, for bugs, for single cell
Yes, it is.
Plants, everything. So if we get rid of it, we die.
No, surprisingly not. You
Well,
still breathe in and
the
out.
tiger may come.
And you were going to die anyway, hon. And since you look like you're close to my age, it's probably not that far off.
I may even be a little bit older, but when the tiger can come now, or maybe come later.
Yeah.
And if the tiger comes and we don't run away, we'll probably die sooner.
Yeah, and?
And we won't survive, that's all.
Your survival instinct is actually more of a problem. Because you put yourself to a lot of suffering to survive. For example, if you're as old as I am, something hurts. It's only going to get worse.
Yes.
It's not going to get better. So at what point do you draw the line and stop having surgeries and treatments and joint replacements to survive?
Mm-hmm.
Because, wait a minute, no. Your survival reflex, if that was all you had, would keep you alive through the most intense and terrible experience of suffering as your body tried to die and you did all sorts of medical interventions to not let it die, even if it might be time, and those interventions were most uncomfortable. You've all seen where that point can be for any person. So don't completely trust that your survival reflex is good for you. It is countered by the same great-hearted, open-hearted, I'm going to call it love. The urge to merge, to not be alone, is the bodhicitta, is the counter to your survival reflex. Bodhicitta is the mother's love that will throw herself into traffic to knock her baby out of it. It is the hero's part that will take a risk to save another. The firefighters, the ambulance crews driving fast and risking car accidents. It actually overcomes the survival reflex. Because if all you had was the survival reflex, me for me, you would get tighter and more constricted and have more and more suffering as sickness, old age, and death happened, because they will. So don't be so sure your survival reflex is good for you. Bodhicitta might be better. Bodhicitta itself manifests as compassion and passion. Have you not noticed the kind of risks that young men take to attract young women? Have you not noticed the silly shoes that young women wear to attract men, even though it is a risk of falling over? The urge to not be alone is a reflection in the mud puddle of bodhicitta. I think it's worth more than the survival reflex. Does this answer your question anywhere?
Yes, thank you.
You were talking during your talk before about looking through the transparency of phenomena. In Tantra, they often talk about pure perception or pure outlook and pure vision. Is that actually the same thing, or is there some difference?
Same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Tantra is just another method. Dzogchen, you relax into open awareness. Tantra is where you've got too much survival reflex to do that and you keep looking for the danger. So instead, you get your subconscious to do it by talking to it with symbols. You sneak up on it. And it helps you relax into open awareness. Yeah, you're going to have to let go of that survival reflex. Bodhisattva is the antidote to it. Fear and hope, grab and shove, fear and anger are antidoted by open-hearted great-heartedness. Survival reflex will give birth to fear and anger, grab and shove, fighting for you, ignoring the needs of others if taken to an extreme. The Bodhisattva brings in the balance, keeps you from taking survival to an extreme, which will tighten down and, if we look at the example of old age, hurt a lot. When you do the survival, stay alive at any cost, a head on a plate. Hey, they can almost do that now. Does this answer your question?
Yeah. When talking about bodhicitta, and you often translate it as open-mindedness, open-heartedness.
Ninji,
Yeah,
great-heartedness, is the literal Tibetan word.
Yeah. As I understand it, in the deepest sense, bodhicitta equals the view. It's the same thing.
Yes?
But
No, not by itself. It is the union of bodhisattva and sunyata that is the real tawa.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yab-yum.
Yeah.
Bodhisattva is yab.
Yeah. But there's spontaneous bodhicitta, and then there's the cultivation of bodhicitta, and the last thing can lead to the first thing. Can you say something about the cultivation of bodhicitta in a Dzogchen context? Does it need some slight doing in the beginning, or?
It is natural. However, until such time as it feels that way to you, pay strong attention to gewa and digpa, and create your gewa for the sake of others and offer it up that way. That doing. Do you understand the words gewa and digpa? Because we don't have words for that in English.
What is Geva?
Gewa is creating a cause for happiness, openness, and relaxation. Digpa is creating a cause for constriction, unhappiness, and discomfort. It's not sin and virtue, got nothing to do with good and bad. It's just terms describing karma. Other questions? Pick somebody.
I will try to make it short so other people can also ask you questions. When you were talking about this experience when meditation on the cushion feels exactly the same as all other activities, I caught myself experiencing that in, September last year, and I continued sitting on my cushion. And what happened next was that I experienced is that all of suppressed feelings like grief, sorrow, and pain and anger started to come out to the surface, and my body uses anxiety to block it because my body is afraid of feeling these feelings. And I was trying to look through it, but and that's why I changed from doing just trekchö to doing nundru and yidam practices to help myself to overcome these obstacles. And I also go to psychotherapy where we dig into my subconscious and try to fish out the suppressed feelings that's stuck in my body. But I have this naive wish to outsmart the system and to just cut it through and not working on untangling this inner bilbla, because I tell myself a story that maybe this untangling will never end, that at some point I just have to cut it.
You've been existent creating this bilbla from beginningless time. I would agree with cutting it at some point. We do have a Dzogchen method for working with emotions. Have you done that retreat?
No, but I've watched your videos, and this is exactly what me and my therapist working on, just stripping emotions naked. It just, it keeps coming, and it's strong emotions, and it's a lot of suppressed things that keeps coming into the surface that makes my body anxious, and that's why I'm starting to ask my questions.
Maybe you just want to go through the anxiety first. Eastern direction.
How?
Working with emotions. It's an emotion. Anxiety is fear. Archetype of Vajrasattva. When it pops, it's clarity, like one does with a panic attack.
Thank you.
Give it a try. If you have a therapist who's willing to do it with you and keep you safe, do it that way.
Thank you.
Other questions? Your dislike of anxiety is what's keeping you trapped.
It hurts.
No, you think it hurts. It is a sensation. If you can accept that sensation. What's the difference between excitement and anxiety?
The store.
The label.
The underwear.
Yeah.
Keep working. Next question.
A practical question. Yesterday I was meditating after teachings, and it was 5 minutes. Thoughts, Shine without object first, and then thoughts coming, and then at some point the thoughts became not real and disappeared, like shiny disappeared, really sparkly disappeared. This is it? This is the way
It's a
to go.
nyam, but it's going in the right direction. It's a signpost of your proceeding in the right direction.
And
So
the
nyams are not bad.
Yeah.
You just want to get stuck to them. And the second?
Not to like it. The second one, underground, there was like this disturbing feeling, like there was not personality, but there was a feel bad for people, for beings, something.
That's a subtle thought
Really?
under mutter.
Yeah, a little bit so.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Just you need to see through that too. That doesn't mean you don't open your heart to all life. But to feel bad for all life is an overlay. Somewhere you got taught that that's what compassion is. It may be for some people, but it's risky. To feel bad for what you think is suffering how is that different from the Christians who want to cure the gays? They feel bad for that and try to solve it because they think it's suffering. Risk there, because one's caught up in thoughts of good and bad. So you're better off to simply open your heart without ideas of shoulds and shouldn'ts. Feeling the innate love, life force, aliveness, vitality, warmth, light of the universe, which is the energy that arises in movement as form, which mates with sky, emptiness, and you have the Yab-Yum, the Bodhisattva Sunyata together as one thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lamadina. Yesterday you mentioned interconnectedness and us synergizing our practice. I'm wondering if there is something else we can do collectively, and if you could speak a bit more about the synergizing of practices, how it goes.
Very often, for many people, at many times in their life, practicing in a group makes it easier. Come together in a place, might be somebody's living room, depends on how many people, how you want to do it, and practice together. It's easy. It doesn't matter what practice you do there. It depends on what practice y'all want to do. Even if you're just going to come together and sit. Whenever beginning a practice, remind yourself of refuge and bodhisattva, whether by reciting poems about it or just focusing your attention on it. Does that answer?
Yes, thank you very much.
We have one more, and then I think I'm going to move on to the talk. She's right behind you.
Yeah, Lama, you talked about the lineage that beings like bugs and birds are all Buddhas, like we, in essence.
Yes?
But then I wonder, beings like the virus, and coronavirus, is that also having Buddha nature?
Bacteria is.
Yeah.
We are not sure about viruses yet. However, certain things are... Okay, boy, this is going to be a fun one to explain. Give me a moment. The sign of being a sentient being, and all sentient beings have Buddha nature, is having preferences.
What is sentient?
Sentient means aware, alive, awake. So a sentient being is any living being. Sentient pretty much means living. So any living being, the definition of life is it wants and it's afraid. It wants to continue living. It has survival reflex and probably mating instinct. Few things don't, but most things do. And it wants to not be eaten by whatever is chasing it. I don't know if this is true of viruses or if they're like little machinery. Machines don't care if you turn them on or off. Yet. We're getting closer to one that would have a preference, and at which point you call it a sentient being. It's alive. It has preferences. So I'm not sure about viruses.
And plants and fungi, these kind of beings?
Well, that is also interesting. Slime mold, which is a fungi, moves towards its food and away from dryness. It needs to stay moist. So it's alive. Most plants grow towards light, but I do not know if that is because they prefer it or because it is simply in the nature of a machine, because you can have a machine that moves towards light. So I do not know about all plants. I know some plants strongly appear to me to be sentient beings.
What plants?
Just certain ones. Certain rocks appear to be land spirits. So life is everywhere. But it is said that there are things which look like human beings and are not alive. Tulpas. They walk around, they might even hold a conversation, but they're not really there. They're a hallucination made by mind, but they don't have any existence from their own side. The Yaqui lineage also talks about it, as does the Tibetan lineage, these tulpas. Not tulka, tulkus, tulpa. So there are things that even look like people that may not be alive. I'm never quite sure.
So better to
Better to be kind to it, whatever it is. Better to be kind to it, whatever it is. Better not to pick up a stick and break it into pieces for your amusement. It just might be somebody. You can't tell. Life is everywhere, in all sorts of weird shapes. There are bugs that look like sticks. Last one.
I have a related question. So, do you think that AI, artificial intelligence, could? I have a related question. So, you mentioned that machines might get sentient. Do you think artificial intelligence might get sentience and have their own path or?
I don't see why not.
Liberation, yeah.
I don't see why not. I mean, the universe is really big. It has room for lots of stuff to occur. Time is really long. Whether that will happen among Homo sapiens inventions or among some other planet's inventions somewhere else, I have no idea. But I don't see why not. Anything could happen. Ngewandi nyur duda che che sala go parshu. Now, what order were we doing things in? Was I starting the talk next?